that we are going to cover through the session 2, right? So through the documentation, Watson admin console, project and tools, project creation, data refinery, and then we will look at the live demo using the model builder and do the churn prediction, time series, and certain visualization around churn prediction, and do the live model with SPSS. With that, I'm moving on to the real thing, right? The next slide. Okay, so the last time when I was opening this Jupyter notebook, which I got from the community area, right? So there was one notebook which was already built, right? So the use case was around the churn prediction, and we were using the Spark 2.0 SPSS random tree, the classification and regression tree. And the objective was to, predict who is the customer, to predict that who is the likely to churn by creating SPSS random tree model, right? Using the SPSS machine learning ML API, right? And view the model with IBM SPSS model viewer, right? So if you look at the graph below, so here is the notebook. On the left-hand side, what you see is the notebook. And on the right-hand side is the graphical user interface that gives you the accuracy of the model and other characteristics of the model. Somebody is saying something?
Can you put your screen into presentation mode?
Sorry?
Can you put your slides in presentation mode to make them a little bigger?
Presentation mode, you are saying?
Yes, please.
Did you say presentation mode?
Yes.
Yes, Alok. Yeah, can you please? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so your voice was going back to you, so I was not able to hear you. Right, so this is where I will do the demo, but I don't want to, like last time, I'm not wanting to do, the to and fro in between. But I will go through the flow of the presentation and then come back, actually launch that, notebook, walk you through them, and at the end of the run of the code that has been that is there in the notebook, you will see some graphical user interface at the bottom of the notebook. Which will give you the model accuracy, the relative importance of various different variables in predicting the churn of the customer, so on and so forth, right? So we will come back again here, right? While we will actually launching IBM Watson Studio, and one of the notebook assets within the project that I have created for this session. Okay. Now, this one is all about, we will look at the documentation. So that is the URL for looking at the document. So there is a banner. So when you log into IBM Watson Studio, there is a banner which you see up there. Right, so that will be the launching page that you see, the welcome page, welcome to Watson Studio and Watson Knowledge Center. And there is a search engine in there, so where you can actually put in your terms or any concept that you are wanting to look at. Say, for example, linear regression or random forest or XGBoost, which is based on Python language. So any of these things or any how to deploy the model within IBM Watson Studio, so on and so forth. Whatever terms and the concept that may be of interest to you, you can put that into the search. So when we actually launch it, I will put in some concept, some term there, which will show me the certain results, which will be sorted in some way. And then you can also browse through, the different topics and so on and so forth, right? So that is how it is. And then we have something called Watson Admin Console. So on the banner, if you click manage, right? So the URL is like whatever URL that you see on this page. You get to see all the account usage, data services, right? And then and compute services and all that. And then what has been the growth in the usage, so on and so forth, right? So the data services that I have subscribed to is DB2 and DB Warehouse. My account usage, this is the light account, so I have limited storage and all that, right? And the number of the services that I can subscribe to is limited again. Then we have compute services such as Apache Spark and machine learning, right? So these are the things, some of the services to which I'm subscribed to, right? So this you get to see in the overview phase of the IBM Watson Admin Console, right? And you can also see that over the last month, my usage has grown up to 124%, right, as compared to the previous month, right? So these are the kind of information that you can see and manage your own accounts, right? So that is one of the important features that you can relate to your customer when you are in a demo situation, right? So the control is in their hands, so they can add compute resources and so on and so forth, right? Okay. Now, in the apps, in the banner, after clicking the manage, we have the Watson Studio. You will also have access to Watson Knowledge Studio, but I am not signed up for that. So in my instance of IBM Watson Studio, you can only see IBM Watson Studio, but not Watson Knowledge Center. And then we will look at the access control, how to manage the users and all that for the control. And then we have project and catalog creation. So whoever we want to give some access or no access to them, right? And one thing that I wanted to tell you, within the app section, I had some 50 hours of, for the month, my account is configured for, 50 hours of usage, right, on the account. So I have, of which I have used 3.5 hours of them, and 46.5 hours of them are, kind of remaining for this month. Okay. Now, how do I go? Okay. Now, in the project section, we have WNCP enablement, which is already there. If you have more projects, in the drop down, you will get to see more projects. So to get into the dashboard of that project, you just have to click this, right? And what are the different tools that we have? So R Studio is the integrated development environment for creating the projects around R. Notebook you already know. So in IBM Watson Studio, we only have the Jupyter Notebook. We don't have the Zeppelin Notebook, as I had actually said, in my last session. And then we have IBM SPSS module, right? And in the services, we have Watson services, data services, compute services, and connections. So when we go to, Watson Studio, Watson services, for example, these are the different services which are there, which can be used with IBM Watson Studio, Discovery, Knowledge Studio, Language Translator, Machine Learning, Natural Language Classifier, right? The Natural Language Understanding, Personality Insight, Speech to Text, Text to Speech, Tone Analyzer, Visual Recognition, Watson Assistant. So based on whatever, services that you want to use in a specific context of your project, you can, configure these services and use them as and when you want on demand, right? So these are the different Watson services that you can configure to be used in IBM Watson Studio, right? Now, these are the different data services. The cloud object storage will have all the kind of file-based data, tabular data like CSV, .xls file, and then JSON file, and so on, .xml file, so on and so forth, right? And then you have also, services to, cloud-based data like Cloud and DB2 Warehouse on cloud, DB2 Hosted, right, so on and so forth. So these are the different data services which are available for being configured in IBM Watson Studio, okay? And then you have compute resources, compute services, right? Now, to me, here, these two things are of more important to me, Apache Spark, right? So that is the kind of operating system for advanced analytics, which is like machine learning, artificial intelligence, and decision optimization all together. So the kind of complex processing that is required for Apache Spark is where the processing is kind of pushed, right? And the new, like someone said in the last session, the IBM Cognos dashboard embedded. So that is also there in the asset, so you can use one of your data assets to create a dashboard, to develop your own understanding about the intrinsic relationship between various different variables, right, and stitch them together into a dashboard to, share with the business users, right? Okay. Now, for creating the project, so when you sign into this IBM Watson Studio, so when you say get started, you have a plus button on the top right side where you say new project. You can you get a pop-up like new project where you have basic different kind of resources are available. So you can either use them all to to say, for example, complete set of resources should be available within the project, so that you don't have to kind of work on. So all the kind of runtime environment is available when you are creating a specific asset within the project, right? So there are various different kind of projects that you can create and stitch them together to deploy them at the endpoint, right? Now, so these are the different steps. When you click here, so you get the new project. You have to actually write the name. So I write WMCP enablement for this, right? And then the storage is, there is only one storage to which I was subscribed to. So there is no drop down box. So if you have different storage which you can organize accordingly for different kind of projects and so on and so forth. So you can assign different projects to different storage and so on and so forth. And then click create. So this is kind of guided instructions to the user of IBM Watson Studio, where you can simply create a project by taking all the kind of resources that we have taken in the previous slide, this slide, right? So whether it was basic or data science related or visual recognition related, deep learning, modeler, business analytics or data engineering related projects, right? You could have, taken one or take them all at a time to, create this project, Okay. Now, when you create a project, it actually, brings you to the overview tab of the project itself, right? So these are the different tabs which are available in the project when you create them. I have been working with this project for quite some time now, so I have 14 different assets, 2 bookmarks that I have added to this project, right? And then I have 23 collaborators. So all of them are, the participant of this session who I have added as collaborators in my project, right? So this is the overview which gives you the ability to, kind of look at, what are the number of assets and the number of books, collaborators, and other things, other matrices, right? And the date when you created, right? Descriptions, and how much storage you already have used, right? Say, for example, I have 25 GB of, storage allocated to me, but I have used only a fraction of them, so it is showing 0% of them, right? And then it is also showing you the collaborators, so you can either view them all, and there is the page where you can launch and actually add the collaborators, right? Now you have on the asset tab, you have data assets, visual recognition model, notebooks, dashboards, models, experiments, modular flows, and data flows. So in the data assets, it is added onto the object store. This is why it is showing you the icon of the object store. And you can actually right-click on the rightmost column, where you can either have the option to delete that data, right, and so on and so forth. So you just have to browse to add any data source or data asset like CSV file or SLS file in here in your data asset, or drag and drop. We will show you when we will do the live project, live demo on a specific use case, when we will be adding the data for predicting the sales pipeline, right, using the SPSS runtime environment. So, okay, now you have the data refinery. So when you actually right click on the data asset, right, on the rightmost column on the shaded area, right? So you will when you right click that, you will get the option to refine, right? So that will land you to this page, right? As you can see, the cost underscore summary notebook training underscore CSV is the file, and on the right hand side, I just right click and it gives me the 3 different options: refine, download, or remove that data from the data asset, right? And then it gives you the options to operations. Then look at the sample view of the data, and then look at the profile of the data, and then you can create a visualization which will also generate the Brunel code, right? So that you can paste in your notebook also for the purpose of visualization. So we will look at in one of the visualization notebooks where we have used them to the code to visualize the different. So the best aspect of the Brunel package is that it does not just give you the simple mostly or widely used graphical analysis, but it also gives you ways and means to, represent, the model that the machine learning models that you have created with Spark or Python or Scala open source languages. So that you can use them to, visualize the accuracy of the model or misclassification, so on and so forth, many other things that you can do with them. Right? Say, for example, you can look at, say if you are using the Bayesian network, so it allows you to, build the network, which is mostly not available in different kind of graphical graph-related packages. Right? So Brunel will give you access to those as well. Right? So in the operation section, when you do the you click on the operation button, right? So it allows you to clinch, and within the clinch you have the ability to convert the column value to missing, right? And remove duplicates, remove empty rows, replace missing values, replace substring, and so on and so forth. So that is the way of missing data treatment strategy, right? So based on whatever the kind of the data that you have, and the based on the profile that you have looked at, right? You will take a decision to one of these decisions to treat the missing data. So that will formulate your missing data strategy. Right? And then it also allows you to organize your data, right? Like you can concatenate the data, join, split columns, so on and so forth. And then you can also create calculation. For example, if you have to predict, if certain customer is likely to behave in certain way, right? So you have two different columns which are independent: family size and income, right? So they two independently columns will, kind of influence the way a customer will behave, right? In terms of the propensity to buy a specific product, right? Or propensity of a customer to churn, so on and so forth, right? Now, these two independent variables, based on these, you can calculate actually, the disposable income, right? So two of these independent variables may not be as significant independently, but a calculated form such as disposable income, like is equal to, for example, income by the family size, will make more sense and will be able to explain the variability in your target variable in a more significant way, right? So that is the use. So rather than using the individual variables, you will use the calculated variables, right? Similarly, there are certain, for example, age of the customer. So it is not the age, specific age, because it is a numerical variable. So you might like to transform that into a categorical variable, right? So different age group. So you can do the billing and all that. All those kind of stuff you can do in organizing your data. So you can either clean your data, you can organize your data, and perform different other operations to calculate and enrich your data to calculate different features that you think could influence the outcome, right? And so similarly, you can refine your data here. Okay. So actually, I should have come here before doing the operation, so that you could have understood that after looking at the profile of the data, it gives me the statistics of missing values and so on and so forth, right? And what is the distribution of different variables like gender, age, investment. These are the different variables. I've just taken this sample screenshot, and it also gives you the statistics of the maximum length, minimum length of the variable, then mean length, if there is a missing data, so on and so forth, right? So those are the things that you, and the frequency with which they occur in the underlying data, right? So I should have actually come here and then gone into the operations, because you develop certain understanding, and then based on that you will, the user, the data scientist will, adopt or formulate a specific way to treat the missing data, right? So this is the precursor to, doing the operation before. So profile, it will come before that. Now the visualization, I was talking about the Brunel package, right? So when you click at visualization tab, you get the input. So you have to select the input column to get insight into your data and look at what kind of relationship is there between the different variables, right? So it is very plain and simple. So it lets you do that. So say for example, you select. So I've just taken some random variables. So I have selected age and gender, and there are different kind of chart types which you can create with these two. So that will depend, what kind of chart type you can do. Select will be based on what is the data type of the column, right? So based on that, so we get to have the stack chart, and it generates the Brunel syntax, right, which you can embed in your notebook to share with your customer. So share with your consumer of the analytical asset, the one who will be looking at the published notebook, for example, right? Okay. So we will look at the demo of this also, right? Now let us go to the live demo here, right? So we'll look at the live demo now, right? So here on we will be launching. So these are the topics which widely complete from the features perspective, right? So these are the different things that you can do. Now we will go into one of the assets, analytical assets that I have already created for you. We will have a look at each of them, right? So we will start from data refinery, and then we will do the model building and deployment using the graphical user interface. Those are the two live demos that we will do. Actually, 3 live demos. So when we do the SPSS modeler flow, that will be also live. But there are notebooks where we have used the Scala, Python kind of open source languages to predict the churn and also do the time series analysis. And then we will also see how to save, because the notebook gives you the development environment. So there is a way, or there is a mechanism that you can write a piece of code in there where you can create a pipeline, and you can save the model and deploy the model in the model repository itself, right? So all of these things we will see in the live demo now. So here onward, no PPT, right? So here onward, we will look at the product, right? So I didn't want to, kind of do the to and fro between the PPT and, the IBM Watson Studio interface, right? So let's kind of get out of here and get onto this. But before that, I also have promised one of the case studies. So there is one case study, because Python and Scala we have already done. So one case study is based on the R language, right? So we will be you will be using, maybe you can divide your team into 2 or 3 different groups based on whatever your interest is, and then create your own project and maybe share with me, right? So, but I have given because this is kind of starting from the zero, so I have given you certain piece of code, right, that you will be using in our studio, right? So all of these things are there, and then there are 5 different models, right? Linear discriminant analysis, classification and regression tree, then nearest neighbor KNN model, right? So 2 plus 1, 3 models, and then complex nonlinear model like support vector machines with linear kernel and also random forest. So all of these 5 different models will be built, and we'll look at the efficiency of all of these 5 models and deploy the best one, right? So here is the approach to kind of evaluate some of the algorithms that you have used, right? So we will split the data set and do the 9 training data set and 1 test data set, so on and so forth, right? And then for that also I have given you the how to split the data set into different kind of data sets. For that also I have given you the code in R, right? Okay, now for building the model also we have the code for different models that I just discussed. CART is for classification and regression tree, KNN models, neural network, and then SVM, self-organized vector machine, right? So, okay. And then at the end of this, you will actually evaluate, these algorithms and select the best model at the end of the exercise, right? And then print the result here, so accuracy and the kappa value. And then apply the best model on the application data for which the outcome is not known, right? So for that also I have given you the code, right? So that brings me to the logical conclusion of my presentation. So let's get out of here, right? And then log on to IBM Watson Studio and look at the demo one by one, right? So I'll try to cover all of these demo in today's session only. If it is beyond 2 o'clock, for example, then we might stay here, or I might have to organize the third session also. But that for sure will bring us to the logical conclusion. But as such, I have already covered all of those topics in my slide itself, right? And you already have access as collaborators to my project. So if I stop it logically here, no problem. But I just want to do it with you to kind of give you the comfort level, so that when you go to the in one of your engagement as a client facing in a client facing role, you are confident about at least picking up some of the assets from the community to demonstrate the key features of IBM Watson Studio and the value that it brings in that opportunity, right? And also able to kind of configure different algorithms to a specific data set to perform a POC, execute a POC, right? So that is the whole idea here. So far so good, or you have some questions? Hello?
It's good. Yeah. Please go.
Yeah, it's good. Okay. Now I will take a break for 2 minutes and then come back, actually. Okay. So is that okay for you? Not more than 2 minutes, right? I need some water. Yeah.
Sure.
I'm back. I'm getting it started with, the IBM Watson Studio. Okay, so I'm stopping to share this presentation and launch my Okay, so let me share this web application. So, do you see my screen? Somebody has to confirm me that the team is able to see the screen on the web.
Now I can see.
You can see? Okay. Now this is the data platform.ibm.com, where you have access to the Watson Studio. So I do the login using my IBM Cloud ID. What is going on? So this is the page where I, this is the welcome page where I get onto, right? So this is where you can create your new project, refine data, right? So on and so forth. So you can start from here, right? All right. So should I cover that also? So I will start from refinement, okay? The new project which you create, for example, here, this is what I said. You can select one of these resources, or you can select them all to, create whatever asset that you want to create, right? And then when you have already written the name of the project and selected the storage and so on and so forth, you will be there, right? So I will just cancel this. I don't want to kind of do it again because I have already shown you the screenshot in my PPT, okay? So I will launch the project that I had created for this session, so which I call WMCP enablement. You see the asset, the tab on the top of which overview assets, right? So this has got the data assets, right? Notebook assets, right? And then you don't have anything in model. So I will be using this new model and look at the graphical user interface, the guided instructions to the data scientist where he selects this, actually, it is the tool that guides you to select a specific kind of algorithm. So for example, if it is a binary variable, then it will ask you to select, binary algorithm, or if it is multinomial, then it's multi-valued, the target variable is the multi-valued thing, then it will give you another algorithm which is called multi-valued algorithm. Right, and if your target variable is not categorical but numerical variable, it is kind of estimation that you are doing around that. For that, it will give you, the neural network kind of algorithm, so on and so forth. And it will allow you to select based on, the target variable. The tool itself will allow you to select that. So we will see when we will actually select, create the model, right? And in modular flows also, we will create one model, right, using the CSS or runtime environment. You also have the way to do it for Scala, right? So you have all the kind of icon, so node for the Scala runtime environment also. So which allows you to export the Spark ML lab within the IBM Watson Studio environment. Okay. Okay. Now. Okay. So the first thing that I wanted to show you in here is the refine, right? So I go here. So this is where I come here. Right, so I select one of the CSV file here. So it will launch the data refinery, IBM data refinery page, right? And when you save them, it will save as a data flow as well. Right? So those are the different steps you will be doing in the data refinery. Come on. Okay. So here is the profile of the data, right? So you click it here, you get to see, the distribution of each of those variables. As you scroll to your right, so all the columns, right, in the data set is, right, this are the distribution of and characterizes the different variables, right? So, and then for visualization, you can select age, you can select income, for example, right? So you say visualize data, right? So it will generate, so it will ask you which, but this creates, by default it creates the heat map, but based on the selection of the column and the data type of those columns, it will, say for example, say stat sounds, for example. So it will give you right. So different input and income. So maybe I change this and so on and so on. Okay, now. So this is where we have the we have all done all of these things, and then we have now based on whatever understanding that we might have developed from the data profile and the visualization and all that, we will enrich the data, the underlying data, right? So we so far we have done all of these steps, right? So they are there, right? And then we can say, for example, calculate whatever based on whatever column, say for example age, right? So we actually it is all string here, so you might have to convert them into what do I say? Into a string column first, right? So for that you will have convert column value. Oh no, not that. So basically you replace okay, so convert column type, for example, right? So you can convert that and calculate whatever calculation that you might want to do here, right? And then you can do whatever calculation that you might have done here. So for example, I will take this age, right? And okay, say next, and then say integer. I say apply. Okay? So what it does is actually at the end of the data set, it will add that convert column thing, right? As you can see here, right? So you can edit it if you want to. That is how it is. And then generate a new column. So I will say, for example, I will say age. Age underscore age, right? So that is the thing that I have done. So I will say apply, right? And then as you do all of these steps, right? As you can see, these are getting added here, right? So now I will do again one more operation. So I will say okay, convert column type. Okay, so convert column type. No, this one, not this one. Oh, I say income underscore L, and I say apply. Okay. So if you see at the end of that, so that also is a calculation, right? So I have converted that at the end of the data set. It is calculating this, and based on these two integers, I can perform any mathematical operation that I want to do. So that is what I wanted to show you. So basically, you have enriched your data here, right? Okay. Now, you can also add them, right? Save them. So these are the two different steps. So a number of more steps you can do and save them. So code and operation, and then you there is a way to save it actually. Okay, hi. So run the data flow here, or you can save the data flow here. Okay, so you can save this. So I'm just getting out of here now. So there, now whatever data flow that you have whatever step that you have done, right? So it saves the flow here with the new data set, and then you can actually use that data set which you have enriched and expose it to the algorithm to build a more accurate model, right? So I'll now get out of this data refinery, so nothing much to this. So other than looking at the profiling and doing the visualization to understand the data, you can enrich your data before you actually, kind of expose it to the machine learning algorithm. Right? Now, if you remember, one of the notebook assets that we had taken from the community, which we wanted to convert that into a graphical user interface at the end of the the coding, where we have the interface to look at the accuracy of the model, so on and so forth, right? So this is the notebook, Jupyter notebook, right, that we have saved into our project, which is, which has been contributed by one of the experts. So you can look at, the narration, right, and also the code that has been done here, right? So you can look at them. Actually, you can edit here, right, and then run them all. Okay. Run the code, and as you run the code, you also get to see, result of the code that you have just executed, right? So I'm not going to kind of execute it. You can come back and run yourself, right? But I have already run, and therefore I also have saved the output of the code after that, right? So you can either run them by going here and run cell, or within the cell itself, you can press Control Enter. That will execute the code. So you should execute them in a sequence. So if you execute haphazardly, then it will not work, because, for example, if you have created a data frame, right, but you do not execute that and then execute the subsequent code, then it will not get the data frame, because you have not executed the previous code, so on and so forth, right? And then there are different steps to look at the schema of the underlying data, and right, and then we configure the random tree model by defining that what are the different features, or what are the input variables here, right? So the region, marital, retire, gender, right, toll free, equate, these are the different variables, right, which you think that could be the independent variables, right, which you want to configure for classification and regression tree based on SPSS modeler API, right? And then having done that, you also specify that what is your target variable, right, and then predict the result in there, right? And it also gives you the Apache Spark multi-class classification evaluator function, right? And then the accuracy result is printed at the bottom of that when you run that, which is the 94% of accuracy, right? Based on whatever data that you have, and then you create a project token in order to create the model viewer, right? So that is the user interface that I was talking about. So you took the notebook, configured your own data set, said, okay, left-hand side of the equation, these are the different variables, right-hand side equation, this is the target variable, you specify all of them, configure it in, whatever it has been created, and then you look at the, the different aspect of the accuracy of the model. For example, confusion matrix, it says, 1 is predicted as 1 in as many as 119 cases. So, and then 0 is predicted as 0 in 570 cases. So 576, 89 cases, it is predicting rightly, but for 149 plus 153, so that will make 202 cases as the wrong prediction, right? So 202 of them are wrong predictions. So that is the confusion matrix. We also call it coincidence matrix. And then you have other model information. For example, what was the number of predictors that were used, right? What is the estimated model accuracy? 69%, right? Not much, not very good. Predictor importance, you can look at, the tenure, age, address. This is, this is arranged in a way of relative importance of the input variable that you had, indicated, right? So on and so forth. And then you have top decision rules. So different decision rules with whatever rule accuracy and is, it gives you the rule saying that, okay, if the gender is equal to 1 or long man is greater than 19.3, long man is greater than 10.95, right? So on and so forth, then the accuracy of the rule will be 1. So on and so forth. So these are the different rules that have been generated here. So this is how we look at. So this is much like SPSS. So when you create the modular flow, right? So you get the you get the nugget, which is nothing but the condensed learning into that nugget. So when you double click that nugget, you get to see all the model information, right? So all the kind of learning, so decision rule and all that, relative importance, confusion matrix, and all of those features to understand how the model is performing. That gives you, so that you can assure yourself about the quality of the model, right? So that brings me to the end of, the first this thing, and you can export that as an XML at the end of the code, right? So that is the last exercise that you do in this notebook, right? Now the second one is the one that I will build live, right? So let me use okay. So I say new model. So now I am using the graphical user interface where I will be leveraging the Spark ML lib, right? So I will be building a model. So there are two different ways of doing it. One is automatic, so it will it will allow you to select the model, but it will not ask you, whether you want to do a random tree or you want to do logistic regression or you want to do whatever, or you want to compare them all, so on and so forth, right? So it does not allow you to do that. So I will say WCP churn model, okay? So, okay, and then I will select the manual thing. So manual gives you the control. So you can select whatever operator, right, or whatever. It allows you to set the target variable and all of those kind of stuff, right? So I will select the manual thing because it gives me much control, right? I will not look at the automatic thing. But automatic is also useful for those who are the starters. So they don't know what to do. So then in that case, it will be, useful. But for, a person like me, for example, may like to build it manually, right? So I will select the manual and say create, okay? And then it asks me to, select a data set, right? So what I will do is I will select this data set, right? Customer_summary notebook training.csv. Using the same data set, we will also look at, doing the things by way of programming, right? So that also will create the same model that I'm creating using the graphical user interface, right? And after building the model, we will also see how to deploy that, okay? And then say next. Now, you have three different, so based on whatever is the data type of the target variable that you have selected, it will, select one of these, algorithms, right? So binary classification or multi-class classification. So depending on if the value, the target variable is categorical variable, right? If it's taking two values, then it will automatically select the binary classification. If it is multi-value categorical variable, then it will select the multi-class classification. But it will select the regression if your target variable is numerical, right? It is a continuous set of values. So all of these things are also written on that, icon, right? And also at the bottom, it also allows you to, split the data set into the train, test, right, and hold out data. So now what I'm going to do is going to select levels, right? And by default, I'm selecting all the feature columns, right? Now, on the right-hand side, you will see there is a plus sign and it says add estimators, right? Add estimators. So you add estimators here. So either you can select one, or you can select in combination, permutation and combination 2, 3, or all of them, right? So I select, for example, this, add it, and if you see at the the configured estimator is the logistic regression, right? But it has not been trained yet. Say, for example, I want to build them all actually, right? So I don't know which one will work and will be able to explain the behavior of the customer better, right? So I don't know. So different model works differently in different kind of whatever the relationship of the independent variables or the relationship of the independent variables with the target variable. So what I do is I select this, and all of them and say add. If you add them all, you can see all those configured estimators are like logistic regression, decision tree, classifier, random forest classifier, gradient, boosted tree classifier, and then I say next. So what it does is it starts training the model, right? So it also gives you the view of the status, right? So it is showing you the status of all of those. But at the end of the process, it will give you the performance of each of those models that it has trained, right, on the logistic regression, decision tree classifier, random forest classifier, and GBT classifier, right? So based on the performance, you can select them. Also, congratulations, you have been able to train and evaluate the first model, and area under the curve is 99%. Area under PR curve, ROC curve was area under curve AUC is 99% here, right? But under PR curve you have 98% so forth, right? Now either you can delete that or you can save only one of them, right? So I allow them all to run, get trained, evaluated, and then I look at the performance, right? So here everything is excellent. So maybe logistic regression is simple enough for people to understand, and also for the data scientists to understand to the others. So you might like to select that, and also it is the best one. Right? So you save this one, so the other one will get lost because you have trained and evaluated both, right? Based on the test data, trained data, and holdout data, right? In your previous step. So I saved this one. So now when I save this, it actually saves that as an asset in the model in the asset tab. Okay. So let me go back here. So I think the time is going to go up. So I will have to stop at 2:30, and then I have two more things which I will take about half an hour to demonstrate on the next day. Okay. So these are the evaluations, deployment. So you don't have the deployment as yet because you have not deployed it right now. Okay. Okay, so now you can go here, you can see that it has been added to your model repository. So here it is. So this is the model that you just created here. WCP churn model. It was not there, right? So 22nd June, based on runtime was the Spark 2.1, WML 1.1 type. So Watson machine learning. And then the action is you can deploy it from here or you can publish it. So I will deploy this. Okay. So I can deploy this as a web service or batch mode, right, or a real-time streaming prediction. So all of those three things are there. So I will say deploy WCP churn model, okay, and then say so this has actually deployed your model. So you can open this.
Hey Alok.
Yeah.
This is Chintamani. I'll have to drop because of a customer meeting now at 2:30.
So 2:30 I am also stopping. I will also have to go. There are two more assets that I want to show you after this, but maybe tomorrow, maybe on Monday or Tuesday.
Okay, that would be great.
Yeah. Okay, implementation. So you have all the code, right, which you can, which has been generated in Java, right, Python, Scala, so on and so forth, right, which you can embed in your existing analytical processes, which can be consumed. So the scoring at the end point may be consumed Sorry, I got disconnected. So this is how we get here. So we get the code here, and then you can test it here by writing the gender, M, for example, age, 34, investment, 12, or 3400, for example, 3400, income, 6500, okay, and then activity 12, yearly amount 12,000, for example. Then average daily transactions could be, for example, 4, okay, and the yearly transactions can be 365, right, and then average tax amount could be 1200, right. So you are doing the test on negative traits 12, state, CA, for example, education is doctorate, okay. So I predict here, okay. So this is what I get. Let me look at the graph here, okay. So with 100%, so I say negative traits, there are 12, then it is influencing like this. So if I say 2, then maybe, okay, even then, so maybe 12,000, okay. Predict. Okay, so it is predicting everything as 100%. So sometime if the value will change, maybe female, right, then it will predict. Okay, so it is predicting everything as 100. I will not remember any values. So anyway, so the idea was to show you can test one record at a time here, right? And implementation, you already have the code, right? So basically what we have done here is we have created a model and deployed it. Okay. Okay. Now in the next session, what we will do is we will look at the IBM Watson Studio. The Jupyter Notebook in IBM Watson Studio, where you will have the development environment, and we will, there will be no model in the model repository. So we will see how to automate the entire process by writing a code in the Python code here. So that one is here. So banking, customer churn, Scala prediction here. So if you look at that code, it will, do the same things here. So right from building the model, saving it in the repository, right, and then looking at the area under curve, model summary, ROC, right, and then it will actually save the model artifact by creating the pipeline and all that, right, and deploy that model at the end of it. So this is the same step that you do here, and then you will get to see that you have the model created and saved in the repository and also deployed. So that brings me to the logical conclusion, and in my next session I will show you how to import the SPSS modeler in IBM Watson Studio. So there are two different flows, two different runtimes that you can use for creating the model, machine learning model with the modeler flow, right? So we will do that in the next thing. So that brings me to the logical conclusion for today's session. So end of session 2. Thank you. So anything that you might have to say or any questions so far for this session? Hello? Any question for this session?
it's all good. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you, and then I'm closing the call for today. Okay.